Alright, so I was working on a video I recorded of Industry Plan by Ian Dior. That's going to be coming in the next days. But I did find out J. Cole released a brand new track right here, so I'm going to react to this, see how it's going to be, Snow on the Bluff. I'm guessing it has to do with what is happening currently. Of course, given the unfortunate circumstances of all the events that have been happening. Let's see what it's going to be about. Let's listen to it. I'm a big fan of J. Cole. I want to see how this is going to be. I'm definitely excited to listen to this track. Let's get right to the track. J. Cole, Snow on the Bluff. It has a slow pace right here.
Intelligent fool by my college degree. My IQ is average. There's a young lady out there, she way smarter than me. She mad at these crackers, she mad at these capitalists, mad at these murder police. She mad.
Okay, so I don't know who he's talking about specifically, but he says he scrolled through his timeline, and says that he found this young lady that's mad at he says crackers, he says the police and the capitalist system. But then he also says something about, he says specifically how people be thinking his IQ is like at a next level because he has a college degree. He says his IQ is average. I wouldn't say his IQ is average, but I get what he's trying to portray, the fact that he's not this completely knowledgeable person of every single topic, even though he's very, very involved in the issues. We did see him protest. But let me just keep listening to this.
Ignorant, she wear heart on the sleeve. She mad at the celebrities. Low-key, I be thinking she talking about me. I'm about the queen tone, it's bothering me. She strike me as somebody.
Okay, so hold up. So he talks about the fact that this person criticized the artist for not being more vocal, I guess. Let me find this out. Okay, so this seems to be about the artist No Name, supposedly. But at the same time, I would agree. I don't think this would be a right critique about J. Cole specifically, because J. Cole has been protesting and he's been very vocal about this. When it comes to these issues, that's what his career has been about, but and he's great at it for sure. But here he's talking about somebody that's mad at the capitalist system, and I definitely understand the person being mad for sure about police, the capitalist system, this overall system that is honestly not only benefiting few amount of people. If you can't understand by now and grasp that there's something very wrong with the root of this system, because 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 78%. And only a few are actually benefiting. And it's crazy to see like the images. I saw an image of something saying, like the millions of unemployed people, I think it's over like 40 at this point, that had filed for unemployment. And the fact that the picture showed the stock market still rising while millions were on unemployment is insane to me, because it lets you know that the stock market only benefits the big corporations. It's not for the people. It's not for the working class citizen. While they're over here struggling, trying to get a living wage. It honestly lets you know capitalists, this free market doesn't really benefit everybody the way some people might want to portray it. And this is not me being a quote unquote communist. Relax. This is not me being, I don't generally think the solution is communism, but I'm trying to let you know that capitalism has a serious problem too. We're gonna get to this. Let me just keep.
It's enough to grow up in conscious environment with parents that know about the struggle for liberation, and in turn they provide a wake up from the fact that most people don't see. Just cause you woke and I'm not, that shit ain't no reason to talk like you better than me.
If you're definitely somebody that has the resources, should I say, not the sources. Remember, English isn't even my main language. It's Spanish. I'm from Puerto Rico. I live in Puerto Rico literally. But my point is, if you're somebody who has the resources, that's great, because you're actually providing that information to other people. And for what I see, No Name is an artist that definitely does that, because I just read like quickly as much as I could right now. And it seems like, she's definitely involved as well. So I'm not really sure if her critiques were specifically about J. Cole, but it seems like J. Cole might have took it that way. Or maybe people are interpreting this whole situation entirely wrong. And maybe it's not. They're not even talking about each other. But for some reason, that's what I've been seeing and reading just very quickly. But I would say, if you're that type of person who has the resources and definitely know about the problems and can share the information with other people who might not have it, accessible to them, because the resources might be there, but not everybody has access to it. Literally, 78% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. Like, that's insane. So it's good if somebody's helping out for sure. But if somebody generally thinks that because they're more woke, that makes them like better to be on a pedestal to critique other people who aren't necessarily at the same pace, I would have a problem with that, because I don't expect everybody to be boom right there at the same pace that you are, even because if they're definitely for the cause, then that's very, very good and very important. But don't expect everybody to be as quote unquote woke as you are when it comes to subject matters.
When you attacking the very same niggas that really do need the shit that you saying, instead of conveying you holier, come help us get stop planting your seeds. Fuck is the point of you preaching your message to those that already believe what you believe?
Fuck is the point of saying your message to people that already believe in it? Basically is what he said. From what I see, J. Cole is coming from a genuine place, right? He's just being honest on the track. He's not trying to be... He definitely isn't trying to be pretentious, because he's literally saying his IQ is average, which I wouldn't agree with that, J. Cole. I think your subject matter throughout projects have been great. Definitely, there's a lot of things on KOD, For Your Eyes Only. I think it was the last track, which was amazing when it came to subject matter. Overall, the tracks entirely have been great, in my opinion. But I would say, yeah, definitely, I'm siding with him in the point of not acting like you're above somebody because you're more aware of situations. But people who are ignorant to certain issues at this point, because they're willingly ignorant, that's a problem for sure. But I understand that there's people who don't generally understand everything because they really don't have the resources. I keep saying it, like I keep saying 78% of people live paycheck to paycheck. So people generally have these problems.
Most people are sheep. You got all the answers about how you gonna reach. If I can make one more suggestion respectfully, I would say it's my points devised way about of slavery. Think it just maybe in my pursuit to make life so much better for me and my babies. I'd be think, man.
Damn, he's going crazy with the flow right here.
Yesterday he said something that had me like, wait. He was like, oh, appreciate what.
So he even admits that he feels like he's not doing enough. I love the voice right here, the vocal tone. This is a great track right here. J. Cole was being honest. The production is amazing right here. A very minimal beat. Not an actual beat per se, because it's more of an instrumental, but J. Cole is great when it comes to this type of sound right here. I would definitely say I like the flow a lot, because at a certain point in time towards the last part, he just kept going and going and going. And it just sounded actually very, very pleasant to hear when it comes to the type of sound of this song right here. But in terms of the subject matter, I would say I do agree with Cole when it comes to some people trying to feel like they're more woke. But I understand when somebody tries to generally educate somebody else because they generally want to help. And that seems to be the case. But yeah, I definitely agree. You should be mad at this capitalist system that it's not really benefiting all Americans. It's only benefiting a select few. 78% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. That was before the pandemic and before all these unfortunate circumstances, tragic deaths have happened, and before the protests, which I support. And when it comes to that, being before all of this, imagine now, and imagine the fact that so many millions filed for unemployment, and the fact that the stock market just kept going up lets you know there's definitely a problem right there. People don't have living wages, and it's very unfortunate. You should definitely seek for police reform. That's what we need. We need the policies that actually are implemented and help these communities for sure. I understand the point he's talking about when it comes to somebody trying to basically feel like they're better because they know more about the subject than you. But if somebody is generally trying to help and be part of that cause, don't try to put them down because they're not at the same level as you when it comes to learning about the subject matter. Of course, it's not in the slightest, it's not the obligation of anybody from that community, from the black community. You should be the one educating yourself about these subject matters. Nobody's obligated to educate you. I like this song. I like the subject matter. I see some people are kind of talking bad about it, like he's trying to put the person down. I don't feel like he's trying to put the person down. I feel like he's just trying to be honest when it came to this. Honestly, my thoughts are I'm glad the protests are happening. I'm glad people are seeking real change they've always been, but I'm glad these people in power feel like they have to do something, and they feel like they really have to implement policies of change, because people have always been seeking for their voices to be heard, but they weren't being heard. So it definitely has to happen. And I feel like it's disturbing, and it's honestly shocking that these corporations get to have trillions and trillions of dollars in a stimulus, but you only get $1,200 a single payment instead of something like universal basic income, which is something Martin Luther King Jr. talked about. He talked about a guaranteed minimum income for all families so that they could actually have a foundation while they're actually trying to lift themselves up. Because if you just have this quote unquote free market and people over here are literally starving and they can't even pay their bills continuously, and 78% are living paycheck to paycheck, you should really consider the system you're at. And honestly, it's disturbing that only $1,200 instead of UBI. And these are the same people who act like they genuinely care. These are the same Democrats, the quote unquote good guys, right? They're not really leftists. They're not really progressives. They're centrists. They don't genuinely care. They act like they care. These conservatives be straight to your face and let you know, listen, we don't care about you. These people are bad, and these people are bad. Basically, these people act like they aren't. These are bad. These people act like they aren't. In both parties, you will see some people that are genuine when it comes to actually trying to help communities. But a lot of these, the vast majority, don't give a fuck about the working class citizen. And it's honestly disturbing and disappointing that these are the people that control how you basically live your life, because they'll try to be fake woke over here, the Democrats, when in reality they're centrists that didn't actually vote for something like universal income. At the same time as people were losing their jobs and filing for unemployment, a lot of those people had their health care tied to the jobs, so they lost their health care. You would think something like Medicare for all would make sense during a pandemic, so people can actually have health care during a serious time in need of health. But no, they lose their health care as well as they lose their jobs. They were living paycheck to paycheck, so now they're even worse. Small businesses closed down because of the pandemic. We definitely need policies that actually help minorities and communities of the working class. And this isn't even something of having to, quote unquote, be communist or whatever you want to say. This is basically trying to have something more balanced, because you're literally leaving people in the dust. Isn't it crazy to realize that last year, these people, right, wasn't it Trump who said, we're going to get out of the wars, blah, blah, blah. You literally bombed last year 7,000 bombings in Afghanistan. Didn't we finish that war like in 2014? Didn't we kill Bin Laden in 2011? What are you still doing there? Weren't you the same guy who said you were going to get out the wars? But again, you lied. You gassed peaceful protesters just to have a photo op with a Bible. How does that make sense? And at the same time, we already know this guy's terrible, right? At the same time, we have these people over here who act like they care and they're good. No, you're not. No, you're not. Not in the slightest. You're the same guy who says right now, okay, we're going to give a living wage to people. You were for 8 years a vice president. What did you do
to have that living wage at that time? You could have done it. Nothing.
Now you want me to believe you're actually going to give us a living wage? How does that make sense? I was working $7.25 before this. Now I'm not even working $7.25. I have a freelance job, but thankfully I'm one of the people who have their family close and somebody who has worked for 30 years. My dad is still working for 30 years and my mother too. But some people don't have that opportunity. Actually, most people don't have that support like that. So you got to think about that. You want to know what's the craziest part? I live literally in Puerto Rico, right? If I wanted to vote for the general, I still can't vote. I could vote for the primaries. I was going to vote. But they stopped it where I live. They literally stopped on the primaries of Puerto Rico. So far, it's not happened yet because of the unfortunate events of the pandemic and all that. They say they're gonna resume it, but let's see if it actually happens. If they do, I will vote, obviously. But I can't even vote for the general election. I'm still literally in a colony. It's literally a colony for over 150 years, and we don't even have the choice to vote. We have American citizenship for what if I can't even vote for the president in the general election? Yeah, this was a lot of talking. I don't even know if you're watching at this point, but that's going to be it. My thoughts on the track is it's a very good track when it comes to the flow and the production. The subject matter is definitely quote unquote controversial, if you want to put it that way, but I definitely agree with a lot of the points. At the same time, I definitely understand somebody who's generally educating other people as well and looking for others to stand up for that as well. But that's going to be it for this. Let me know down below in the comment section your thoughts. Subscribe for some of the videos. ENDR will be coming soon. The video I did record, industry plan, and I'm out. Take care.